Okay, so hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I have the pleasure.
I'm good. How are you doing?
So yeah, the first question I wanted to ask you is, how did you get started in like the NASCAR media?
So I started working for the Daytona Beach News Journal in 1991. And, if you're in Daytona Beach or around Daytona Beach, you're going to cover a little bit of NASCAR. And so that's what I did for all the time I was there from 91 to 2003. It wasn't my primary job, but it was one of the things I did cover. And then I went to work for NASCAR Scene magazine in 2003. When that magazine closed in the late 2000s, I think 2009. I stuck around stayed at their website, Scene Daily, and then went to the Sporting News, and then ESPN, and then Fox.
So it's pretty cool. So next up, I'd like to ask you, since we know that Darlington is coming up, they're going to go back to racing. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that. If you
What? Yeah, sure. Going back, first race at Darlington, May 17th. Obviously, the industry is relying on racing for its economic structure because the teams don't get paid the money they get paid to race unless they race. The tracks don't get paid the money from TV unless there's a race. So, as long as it could be done safely, there's an urgency at NASCAR to get races in, and so that's what they've done. And they've put a plan in place, and we'll see if those measures are good enough to keep any virus from spreading. They've spent a lot of time. They've spent the last couple of months working on it, and NASCAR. I mean, the thing is that the NASCAR teams and the drivers, they're always relying on NASCAR to mitigate their risk, right? And NASCAR dictates how the cars are built. They dictate now, how fences are built in a lot of ways. So it's no the teams in the industry no stranger to kind of putting it in NASCAR's hands to decide what is safe and what is not.
So, well said. Excuse me. So yeah, well said. So next up, I would like to ask you if you have a specific one, what your favorite part of NASCAR is.
What my favorite part about NASCAR is, I mean, I love talking to fans. I love informing fans of what's going on. I think the passion of NASCAR fans is great. They have lots of questions, and I enjoy giving them answers or discussing things about possible answers and why things happen and why they don't. So that's what I enjoy about my work. I would say what I enjoy most about NASCAR is that they have a lot of races and a lot of teams, and it's kind of a continuing soap opera, if you will, right? It's you're always wondering who hates who's going to fight who's going to get fired, who's going to get hired, and I kind of enjoy that aspect of the sport.
Okay, so kind of keeping it on the topic of favorites, I was wondering if you had a favorite NASCAR track.
Well, I grew up in Indianapolis, so even though it doesn't have the greatest racing for NASCAR and for stock cars, I still, it'd be hard to beat Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Again, I think that's just, that's where I grew up, and so that's where I watched, walked to the Indy 500. Would stay at my brother. My brother lived a mile away. I would go to his house when I was in high school, and we walk and pay, $25 and stand in the grass in turn one and watch the Indy 500, or we'd watch some of the stuff going on in the infield and watch the Indy 500, right? So that's where I kind of got exposed to auto racing, and so that's kind of why that's my favorite track.
Okay, so now since North Wilkesboro is coming up next this Sunday, I'm very excited for that. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, I think it'll be cool because nobody's raced on the virtual North Wilkesboro. I think it's cool that that Dale Jr. went and was able to have that track scanned. I never saw a race there. Pretty much everybody who's going to race in that event. So maybe if Jeff Gordon ends up doing it, then I guess he'll have actually raced at North Wilkesboro. But most of them have not raced at North Wilkesboro. So I think it'll be fun to see. It'll bring the nostalgia back. But it'd take hundreds of millions of dollars to get North Wilkesboro back in shape for real racing, as far as with actual race cars. So don't get your hopes up as far as that goes.
So now I was wondering if you have a favorite racer, had a favorite racer growing up.
I was kind of, I was living in Indy. You know, I was always interested in Mark Donohue's life. So that was. But as far as like people who I actually watched race, I wouldn't say I had a favorite. I enjoyed interviewing Jeff Gordon a lot because whenever you asked him a question, it seemed like that he would think of what he wanted to answer and how to answer it. He wasn't just giving, had memorized a soundbite and gave it to you. He, even if he had answered the question probably 100 times, when he answered it the 101st time, he still appeared to give it thought and give everyone the respect they deserve.
Yeah, pretty good racers. So now I'm wondering, the season the season hasn't really gone on too much yet. It's only like 4 races. So I was wondering what if you have a favorite paint scheme that they've ran so far.
Hmm. Favorite paint scheme. I'm trying to think. Man, that's a tough one. I would say. Well, has Bubba had the Air Force scheme this year? I think he has. If he has the Air Force scheme that looks like the jet, I think I like that one the best.
Yeah, I really like that one. I grew up really Me and my brother grew up really like in the military, so that's a good one.
Hmm.
So now I was wondering, we're getting near the ending of all my questions, so I was wondering if you had any tips for anybody who wants to get into NASCAR broadcasting or just NASCAR.
Hmm. Yeah, so I often suggest that anybody who wants to get into the industry, that you do something that there's always the urge that people want to say like, gosh, I want to be in NASCAR, and they look for jobs inside of NASCAR and they're solely NASCAR. And I think sometimes you need to look at it and say, hey, is there a job out there where I might be doing some NASCAR some of the time, but maybe not all the time? Because I think obviously that kind of opens up a lot more jobs available. And plus, it gives you a wide range of experiences that I think when people are looking to hire people in NASCAR, that they look for people who have other experiences in other sports. So when I give advice, I say, hey, if you can find something that has a little bit of NASCAR work or a decent amount of NASCAR work, you don't say you don't want to do it because there's other stuff. I think if you do a good job on the stuff that is NASCAR related, that people will notice, and you'll learn if that's really something you want to do, and you'll make a lot of connections.
Cool. So now, um, just I think I just forgot
Mm-hmm.
the question I was gonna ask. I don't know, but so annoying when that happens.
It happens to me all the time. It's all right. It happens. No worries.
So the question, I just remembered what I was gonna ask. I was wondering, some pretty crazy things have happened this so far. I was wondering what you think the most surprising thing in your mind that has happened.
I would say the most surprising is Matt Kenseth coming back out of retirement. I didn't, he didn't come back. He didn't do the six car after Ryan Newman got hurt. But now that the 42 was available, he's decided that he's going to do that car for the rest of the year. And when he talks about it, it makes sense. He gets almost a full season, but he's only working from mid-May through potentially mid-November instead of from early February to mid-November.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising. I did not really think that was. I haven't been watching long enough to be able to see Matt Kenseth race, so I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, that's all the questions I got for you. Thank you for being on here.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure. I had lots of fun.
Good.
So thanks for watching this video, guys. Bye.